to our webinar, September webinar. And today we are going to talk about retrospectives. Um, this is one of the key ceremonies for agile teams, and even non-agile teams can follow this. I teach a course on agile practices for waterfall teams. And this is one of the things I tell, that even if you are not following agile, you are following waterfall, or even if you are not doing projects, even if you're doing operational work, like ongoing work like sales, HR, purchasing, or whatever, marketing, you can use some of the agile practices. And this is one of those practices. It is so important practice. And also have seen many teams, they don't do it in a right manner. Sometimes the people don't come to these retrospectives, and they don't see the benefits. So this webinar uh, in this webinar, I'll be talking about how can you make your retrospectives highly effective and engaging retrospective. What will bring people to these retrospectives? If you are a scrum master, or if you are a product owner, or a team member, project manager, um, anybody who is responsible for improving the team process and team behaviors will get benefited from this. All right, let's move on. So we will talk about what are the best practices, and we will discuss the objectives, why we do retrospective. And then the best practices I have divided into three parts, like what you have to do before the retrospectives, what you need to do during the retrospectives, and what you need to do after the retrospectives. So before, during, after, all those parts. And then we will have a quiz, as we always have in our webinars, and then we'll have some time left for Q&A. Okay, so this is our virtual Lunch and Learn. We do it actually second Thursday of every month now. We used to do first Wednesdays, then we did first Thursdays. Now we do it second Thursday, so probably this slide need to change. So we do it every second Thursday of every month. All right, and it is designed to have to design so you learn while you eat your lunch, and it's like relaxed kind of a environment, so you are not stressed, and it's not a meeting, it's just a learning event. And I try to make it as much conversational as possible. All right, so let's start. What do you expect from this webinar? And I would like you to use your device and go to mentee.com, enter this code, which is displayed here on the screen, and type in your response. What do you expect? Why are you here today? So what is your purpose to attend this webinar? So I'll give you little time, because I know the first time when you do it, it's little bit takes little time. You have to go to that URL and then go and type the code and then type your response. And we will use this tool, improve the process. Excellent. And we will use this for other questions, other interaction, and also the quiz. We are going to use this. So once you have logged into this, just leave it there. Maximizing value, very good. Learn new approaches, best practices, process, new ideas. Get better at retros. Yep, that's absolutely right, that you would like to get better at retros. Okay, somebody just said best. Okay, so best practices or something like that. Okay, all right. Let me go back and let's keep moving forward. And some of you who are joining for the first time, I am an CEO of RefineM, a project management consulting and training company. We do agile transformation, coaching, adoption. We do project management uh, consulting. We also do several trainings in project management and agile, and some of the trainings are listed here that we do. We have also several products that I have developed over a period of time, and those products are available for you to download and buy. And before I started my own company, I had 20 plus years or 25 plus years of successful agile and project leadership, did all kinds of projects, um, and led projects, coach teams, recovered projects. So all my career has been in project management. I really love it. I like it, and I would keep doing it as long as I can. Okay. All right. So there are a couple of things new at RefineM. We do, as I was telling you, we do every second Thursday, we do webinars. So our next webinar is going to be another challenge that agile teams face. It's called as churn. And we will talk about what is churn and why, how does it impact stakeholders and the teams, what are the root causes and things like that. So we'll have a very detailed conversation about churn. This is a topic that you don't find too much material on this topic, but almost every team suffers with this, and there very little out there. And I have been dealing with this in my coaching, and I have put certain practices in place and certain coaching in place that helps reduce churn. Okay, all right. So another question. So let's get back to the Mentee. So let's see about retrospective. Does your team conduct retrospectives? Okay, you got very good. Not at all. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Two more responses. Anybody else? So it's kind of a mixed here, that some of you do it for every sprint, some you do for some sprints. So if I were to say 1/3 of people do it in exactly 1/3 people do it for every sprint. Other 2/3 they do sometimes, or they may not do at all. So if you are doing sometimes or not doing at all, I think you guys have great opportunity for continuous improvement using retrospective. This is a excellent practice that you can adopt for your team. As I was saying, that whether you are following agile or not doesn't matter. Whether you are doing projects or not doesn't matter. So a retrospective is a agile practice that can benefit everyone. Can benefit everyone. Okay, all right. Let's move on. So let us split into the breakout session just to get things rolling. And okay, so how did that conversation go? Anybody want to share? You can. Your microphone should be enabled, so you should be able to talk. Just unmute your microphone and you should be able to talk. Yeah, Eric, do you want to say something?
Sure. We had a nice conversation. Some people are applying retrospectives to non-agile projects, which is great. I'm more used to using them at the end of sprints to kind of improve the next sprint, but some people are using them as kind of lessons learned to take them forward to new projects.
Right.
And other people aren't really doing sprints, but they are meeting on 2-week, or they're sort of planning their work on 2-week chunks and using those retrospectives to kind of plan out and get better for the next one. So yeah, that was the experience in my group.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to share what they discussed?
One of the things that we discussed was getting mixed results as far as improvement and follow-up in subsequent sprints and projects. Sometimes that does seem a bit of a challenge. I mean, everyone shares good observations at the time, but how much of it is carried forward and applied? So maybe ways of better ensuring that might be
Right.
something we could use advice on.
Right. And that's very common, Greg. And I will discuss some of the things that can be done. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. Let's see if I have to share it again. Yeah.
Yes, I believe you will have to. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not able
that's
to see
right.
it currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and get going. So we discussed, you had an opportunity to discuss this. So let's start with why. So in whatever we do, or whatever I ask or advise, train, coach team to do, the first is why we are doing this, what we want to achieve. So why should we do retrospective, right? So there are two very important reasons, or why part. So first is find and plan ways to improve quality and effectiveness. So those are the two things we are trying to improve, right? So we're trying to improve quality, so the team delivers higher quality every time, right? So that's one. And second is effectiveness. How effective the team is. Are they creating a lot of rework, or there were a lot of bottlenecks, impediments that came along? Okay. So is the team effective? Or what can we do to make the team more effective? Yeah, it could be blockers, it could be some of the behaviors by some team members, process, people, tools. Or let us put this, people, process, tools. Any of the behaviors that need to change. When it comes to people, we're not talking about people per se, we're talking about behaviors. Okay. And some of the behaviors carry forward from what the teams may have been doing for last 5, 10, 15 years as a waterfall teams. Now, so their behaviors are very well, kind of cemented in their brains, and it has to change. Very, very difficult thing. The second objective is enable team on a journey for continuous improvement. So team is enabled to continue their journey on improving. So there are two things that happen in Agile, mainly Scrum, is sprint review and retrospective. So in the sprint review, we are inspecting the output that team created, the product, the stories that they completed, whether they were done or they were not done, whether product owner likes them or not. That happens in the review. In the retrospective, we are inspecting the team process. We are not inspecting the product. We are inspecting the team process. Okay, so that's the key distinction. times people do not have a very clear idea of, what is difference between the two, but there's a very clear difference between the two. And please feel free to ask questions in between if you have a question related to the slide that I'm presenting. So what we need to do before the retrospective, and if you are a project manager, if you are a scrum master, if you are a product owner, if you are a team lead, if you're a team manager, somebody who is responsible for helping team improve continuously. So they need to make sure this happens. Either they do it or somebody else does it before the retrospective. Collect metrics. The very fundamental thing that the teams don't do, the scrum masters don't do, project managers don't do. So what are the metrics related to quality, and what are the metrics related to effectiveness? Those are the two things we are trying to improve, right? So what are those metrics? So velocity, predictability, churn, cycle time, any quality related metrics. Okay. So what are your key metrics? So collect that metrics for the previous period. If it is a 2-week sprint, then 2 weeks. If you are not doing a Scrum, if you are doing a Kanban kind of a thing, then maybe whatever time frame, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. If you are not following Agile, then also what is the time frame? So whatever is your frequency, if you do retrospective, many times I recommend waterfall teams that have a long projects running 6 months or 8 months, 10 months, 12 months. So they may do it once a month. So collect metrics related to quality and effectiveness for that past month. That's the preparation work we need to do, how those metrics look like, how the trend looks like. And if you are following Scrum, then burn down chart. It's very important to look at the burn down chart, because that's most of the, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the burn down chart, but burn down chart is supposed to be, ideally, it should be a straight line from the left top to the bottom right? Or something in actual follows that line. But most of the time I have seen that for the actual part, you have a line parallel to the x-axis going straight and then falling all of a sudden. Okay, that's not the right way of implementing Scrum. So burn down chart. Make sure that your burn down chart is there. Sometimes you use the tool and burn down chart is automatic, which is great. But if you're not using a tool, then as a project manager, Scrum master, or manager, just bring that to the retrospective. And also you need to have a document for the team to share feedback ideas in real time. So now we are all remote. If you are like in one place, then that's a different thing, but we are all remote. So maybe we have a document, we have a SharePoint document in the SharePoint, Confluence, or Team Space, or wherever that is, where the team can share ideas, or simple whiteboards. Maybe murals are really very good. And each team member should review the past retrospective feedback and action items. So this is the document where the team is going to document their ideas and learnings, so that they would have done in the past also. So each team member should review those. These are the ideas we came up with, what happened, but what Greg was pointing out to, like, okay, we did a retrospective, but then nothing happened after that. All right, so there's some prep work needed. If you do not do this prep work, your retrospective is not going to be effective, because then you are just talking, sitting down there and saying, hey, what is not going well, what's going well? Everything is going well, we are looking great. But if you have number 1 and 2 done, that will give you an ample opportunity to see the ground reality, what is happening. And many teams don't do that. They don't do that. They are totally blindfolded on these, or they may be even looking, but they will not be seeing it in retrospective. So those are the 2 best practices to get ready for retrospectives. I don't know how many of you are doing all 4 of these, or maybe some of these. Many times teams don't do any of this. They go in that retrospective totally unprepared, on the fly. Okay, all right. Now, what you do during the retrospective? So there are several things that you do during the retrospective. So every team member participates actively and provide his or her candid feedback. And how this can happen is if their voices are heard and actions are taken. Philip, if you can mute everybody except me. That is what and then just mostly the team have 30 minutes or 45 minutes retrospective, which is fine. I don't think you need an hour unless your team is really big and you follow waterfall or operational work and there are 20-30 people in the team. Then probably you'll need more. Most of the agile teams are normally like around 10 people teams. You don't need more than 30-45 minutes. So first 5 to 7 minutes is a reflection window. Each member reflects on last sprint. Okay, what they do, they enter their feedback on the retro document. Now, if we are in person, I will say everybody have a sticky note, and for first 5 to 7 minutes, they create sticky notes. And the sticky notes about what went well, what can improve, and action items. So every team member can write maybe 2 of each at least. Because in 5 minutes, you can easily create 5-6 stickies. It doesn't take a lot of time, right? And you don't have to fill the whole sticky. Maybe just write one sentence or maybe 3-4 words. So that's a reflection window. Nobody talks. Everybody writes, either on sticky notes or the shareable document that was created as a prep work. So everybody writes it in the real time and nobody talks. So having a reflection window is important to gather feedback from everyone. And that is what will improve engagement. Otherwise, if you go and start talking, out of 10, 2 people talk a lot, 4 people don't talk at all, and the rest talk sometime. That is what happens. So the majority of people who talk less or don't talk, their ideas are not heard at all. So they may stop going there. But providing this reflection window, collecting this feedback from everybody and the facilitator, encouraging everybody to write stickies or put their ideas on that document greatly helps. A good facilitator and Scrum Masters, project managers need to have good facilitation skills, because you have to facilitate a lot of such, ceremonies or meetings or calls, lot of these. So need to have excellent facilitation skills. So nobody is talking so far, right? 5 to 7 minutes, everybody heads down writing, right? So that is what need to happen. We can say as the first phase of this retrospective, 5 to 7, no more than 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so that is what is happening as at the beginning. Believe me, I have seen this kind of thing does wonders. And I'm telling you from my own practical experience. You may see the people who were silent, they have the best ideas. They have the best feedback. But the 2 talking guys never allowed them to talk. Those 2 talking guys keep talking. And the whole team just works around what they are talking. Very bad. But have everybody have their feedback. Okay, now this is the second part. Each team member should put at least one item under each column that I was saying. team members can second or put a +1 against an item already identified, right? Normally, when people write sticky note, as a facilitator, I will go and combine the similar thing together. Maybe there are 4 stickies telling the same thing in different words, right? So we'll put all those 4 stickies together. Now, if there is a document, somebody has already written a line. Now you say, oh, this is what I was also thinking, and put a +1 there, kind of a thing, So that reinforces that multiple people are saying the same thing. You can say the sprint was really smooth. One thing, okay, good. Though, so something, something like that. So, so that's what is kind of thing. That's after this activity. After this is done, all the ideas have come back. What people had initially. Now pull the sprint burn down. If you are a Scrum team, print the sprint burn down. Show it to the team. Explain it to the team. What's going on here? Why our sprint burn down chart is not close to the expected? What is going on there? Understand, and that is an opportunity. And based on this, after the burn down team, after the burn down, the team looks at the metrics also. So with the burn down, you got some new feedback or ideas. Go put it on the document or the stickies, and then look at the matrix. Somebody should explain the matrix part and look at the matrix, and then looking at the matrix, create another set of ideas. So now you got another set of, so about 5 to 7 minutes here. Okay. So now earlier is the free feedback. Now you're looking at data, right? You're looking at your burn down and looking at your metrics. Now you're looking at your data. And based on that data, you are creating feedback. Okay. This is another important thing, that we are looking at the data and your feedback is based on, first part, the feedback was, how do you feel, right? What do you see or what you saw? And now we are talking about the data, the ground reality, So feelings and now data, okay? So now you have your feedback is complete. You gathered feedback based on feelings and based on data. Now start discussing the ideas for deeper understanding. Maybe you prioritize them. You put +1 there, or there were many sticky together. So you start discussing those ideas, maybe for 5-6 minutes there, and then start, action items. Okay, and 2 to 3 action items at least. I will not say at least 2. I will say at least 1 to 2. At least 1 to 2. 3 maybe a little bit more. At least 1 to 2. A couple of improvement ideas on how to improve quality and effectiveness. What you're going to do, maybe what you're going to do improve quality, and what you're going to do to improve effectiveness. That is good enough. You don't have to decide 20 action items and then don't do anything, right? Decide 1 or 2. That's good enough. And for the others, you can prioritize, you can prioritize those improvement ideas and pick at least 1 to add to the next sprint. So you identified a couple that you improved and can improve, and prioritize the rest of them and put at least 1 for the next sprint. And maybe the second one may go to the following sprint, 1 for the next sprint. So you must have at least 1 idea or 1 action item that you are going to implement in the next sprint. So when you come out of this retrospective, you have a couple of good ideas that you want to implement. You might have 5, 6, 10 ideas, prioritize, and 2 topmost ideas you should implement. And make sure out of that, at least 1 you pick up in the next sprint. At least 1. Okay. And when you are done with that, you pick up another 1. Okay. But make sure that you implement that topmost first action item or the idea that came up during the retrospective. So that is the kind of output we are looking for. At least 1 to 2 ideas, and at least one of them should be implemented in the next sprint. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. So, and after the retrospective, so now our retrospective is done. Now, after the all the improvement ideas that were prioritized are added to the backlog. So you may have a board or wherever the backlog is, you put them in the backlog, flag as improvement ideas, prioritize them. If you put value points, what is the value of this? Then put value points on those ideas. Put the size on those ideas, like any other story, and treat them as any other backlog item. But you should be able to distinguish them. Some way, maybe you have a flag in your ticket. You may color that ticket in a different way, but make sure that you have a couple of ideas, at least one action item that you are doing in every sprint or every retrospective window, whatever that is, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? So whatever that, I heard somebody from the Salesforce talking about 3-week window, which is fine. So in that 3-week window, have at least one, which you can show. So in this case, I'm showing 2. One is being implemented, other is blocked. Okay, and there were some done, and these are ready, means they are prioritized, and we should take them next. We can take them next within this sprint if we are done with all the goals of the sprint. If not, then they will be taken up in the next one. So this part is also important. So don't leave them on document. So if you just leave them on document and don't decide when you are going to do or who is going to work on it, it doesn't come in your backlog, it doesn't get prioritized, then it will not get done. And if you do that, prioritize it, put them in the backlog, and see when you have appropriate time to do it. You should do at least one in every sprint or every that retrospective window, at least one. Okay, so that's how you will see the team is improving. And if the team, that way you demonstrate that you heard them and you are implementing their idea. That will create engagement, that will improve engagement. So teams say, oh yeah, we see something happening. And if it is shown on the board, then it is in front of them. They see it happen. And when they see it happen, that encourages them to get engaged. So they come in those retrospective. Oh yeah, we contribute here. They feel good about it. And also make sure when you prioritize, you listen to the whole team. You just don't listen to those 2 guys that speak a lot. Okay, you may follow some voting system and vote for the best ideas. Don't just talk, just vote for the ideas. And so the people who are not talking, their voices are also heard, and then prioritize. So this is the after you do retrospective. Now let's go to the Mentee. So for last about 20-30 minutes I have been talking about. So let's go to the Mentee and see, is there anything new you learned about retrospective from today's webinar? Anything new that you learned, anything that will help you make the retrospectives more effective? What is that you learned that will make the team retrospective effective? Something new that you learned. This is the same perspective, like, bring more discipline, what to do before, improve. Very good, very good, very good. And that's my objective from each of the webinar, that, everybody learns at least something new, something that is useful for them. And that's my objective from the webinars. What is the action after? Yeah, very good. What action you are going to take after? Use written feedback. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Improve the process. Yeah, very good. Very good. What else? What else? Okay. Bring more. Okay, yeah. Getting quiet ones to Yeah, getting quiet ones to talk. Absolutely right. Those guys need to talk. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So the quiz time. Let's go back to Mentee again. So quiz time, and there are prizes here for the winner. So let's go back here and do the. So let everybody. So there are going to be 5 questions. Okay, 5 questions, and they will come one after the other, and you have to respond to those questions. And there is scoring for each question. And the scoring is based on whether your answer is right or not. If your answer is wrong, you get 0. So whether your answer is right or wrong, and if the answer is right, how fast you responded. So somebody who responds right and faster than you get more points. And at the end, all points are summed, and the person with the highest total points gets the wins. There's a pretty decent quiz, and the quiz questions will come from what we talked in last 30-40 minutes. It's not going to be something unrelated to retrospectives. Anybody else? I have 7 people here who have joined. So anybody else would like to join before I start? 3, 2, 1, gone. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so your first question is coming up here. Okay, very good. Seems like everybody answered right. Let's say who answered the fastest. Okay, seems like Eric is the one leading. Okay, all right. Now let's move on. We're giving the second question. Okay, yeah, we look at the team process, not team output. Team output it will be seen in the reviews. Okay, let's see who answered fastest. Oh, Eric is still leading. Anybody can beat Eric. Very good. Yeah, that we talked about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay. Eric is still leading. Snuggles had a chance. That's the simple one. Yeah, everybody answered it correctly. And let's see who is the fastest. Oh. Okay. Close competition there. This is the last one. Let's see if somebody can cross Eric. Eric is doing really great. Very good. I know this was a little bit confusing, but I mentioned in my conversation. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Eric is the winner. Eric, send me or Philip your email address So we can send you the prize. Congratulations. So couple of more things here on Mentee. So how strongly will you recommend this session to others? All right, I have two people. All right, very good. Anybody else? So seems like most of you found it to be useful. All right. So are there any topics that you want to learn in future webinars? So any suggestions for topics for future webinars? And then we get into burn down charts. Very good. Yeah, I think that will be an interesting conversation, and we can show you different type of burn down charts and what we learn from that. Yeah, I think that's a very good topic. Anybody else has any suggestions? Estimation, user stories. Yeah, we did estimation some time back, but we can once again do it. And from our website, you can download the previous presentations, and our YouTube channel has a recording. So we did estimation and user stories in the recent past, and you can get something from there. All right. Okay, let's go back here. So next lunch and learn is on churn and agile. That's what I was talking about. So we'll cover churn. And this is a course that we are doing on September 16. It is a one-day course, and it's agile for waterfall and operational work. I was talking about you today about that. How can you use agile practices like retrospective? So I have about 10 different practices that I talk about how you can implement those in a waterfall or operational work, even if you're not following agile. So if you want to join, it's a one-day course, 9 to 4:30, and we have some registration already come. People are registering, so go ahead and register at this link. Or Philip, can you put this link on chat so people can click and go there and check it out? So
Yes,
join if you
certainly,
can.
certainly.
Yeah. Put it in the link in the chat so people can see it. This is a very interesting, and I have been doing this training for PMI World. It's called as PMI training, and every time it draws a very big crowd. So it's a very popular course, and many project managers and project leads and project teams would like to learn how to implement agile in their waterfall environment. And even if you're doing operational work, how do we implement agile? There are some lean agile techniques that can be used. All right. So this is how we'll get one PDU for this webinar. You will get the copy of this slide deck, and you can use it. Okay. So, and then of course we have several other training. You can look at our trainings page on our scheduled trainings. Okay. So questions. We have about 3-4 minutes. If anybody has any questions, this is the time to ask questions. And you can open the microphones, Philip. So if somebody wants to talk, they can unmute themselves and talk. Or you can put your questions in the chat if you want to ask question that way. Can you put the PDU slide back? Okay, yeah, and you will get the slide deck also. So let me go and put the PDU slide back. Yeah, if you want to take a picture of it, you can take a picture of it. Any questions anybody has related to retrospective, what we covered, or any other question that you might have? Okay, so thank you very much. I will be here for another couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions, they can ask me. Otherwise, I'll see you in our next webinar, which is in October, 8th October. I don't know which October, but the second Thursday of the month, and we'll talk about churn in that webinar.